How to discover a woman's past without asking anything. Modern Stoic. The past is never dead. It's not even past. William Faulkner. Most men fall into the same trap when getting to know a woman. They start asking, what was her childhood like? Who broke her heart? How many relationships has she had? It feels like honest curiosity, a way to build trust. But the moment you ask, something subtle shifts. She begins to curate her story, not out of deceit, but self-preservation. It's human nature. We edit our pasts for comfort, clarity, or protection. So what's the alternative? Don't ask. People reveal more in what they don't say than in what they do. Her past isn't just in the stories she tells, it's embedded in her habits, her pauses, her eyes when you mention something she's tried to forget, the way she flinches at affection or leans into it too fast, how she talks about trust or avoids the subject entirely, the laughter that comes a second too late, her silence when others share something raw. Every reaction is a breadcrumb. You don't need to interrogate. You need to observe. Presence is your greatest tool. Stillness, your sharpest edge. When you pay attention, you begin to see whether she's still tethered to someone in the rearview mirror or whether she's ready, truly ready, to move forward with someone new. In this video, I'll walk you through how to read these hidden signals, not as a way to judge her, but to protect your future and hers. You deserve clarity without confrontation, and she deserves a man who sees without forcing the truth. This is modern Stoicism in action, discernment without drama. One, her relationship with attention. Don't just listen to what she says. Watch how she moves when no one's asking questions. A woman's relationship with attention isn't just a personality quirk, it's a compass, quietly pointing to the emotional weather patterns of her past. You must observe how she behaves when eyes are on her, not just yours, but everyone's. Does she deflect the spotlight with grace, as if it's familiar and unneeded? Or does she bask in it, glowing like someone who's starved for it? Like applause is air, the modern Stoic doesn't get distracted by shiny things. He sees what they reflect. He knows attention isn't the issue, attachment to it is. That's where the truth hides. Don't get fooled by flattery or thrown off by charm. Be sharp. When she brings up how many guys stared at her on the way to the store, or how her DMs are a war zone of digital thirst, and she wasn't even trying, that's not small talk. That's a breadcrumb trail. If the stories of male attention come unprovoked and often, it's not about those men. It's about the echo chamber in her mind that still needs the noise. This isn't about vanity. It rarely is. It's about the architecture of validation. Old Stoics understood this better than most. The louder someone brags about being seen, the longer they've felt invisible. Childhood, past lovers, even friendships. Neglect has many shapes, and its mark often lingers in how someone learns to feel valuable. You must ask yourself, not her, why she thrives on admiration. Is she connecting or collecting? Is attention her dessert or her oxygen? There's a difference between a woman who enjoys being desired and one who is fueled by it. The first one will smile when you compliment her. The second one will wither when you don't. One is secure, the other is silently starving. And here's the kicker, even she might not know which one she is. Emotional addictions don't come with warning labels. But the modern Stoic reads between the lines. He sees what's driving the behavior, not just what's being performed. That's why you don't ask. You observe. Don't demand her history, decode her habits, watch her online. Does every picture scream, "Look at me," or "See me"? Subtle difference, massive meaning. Is her validation sourced from connection or attention? If the spotlight gives her life, what happens in the dark and when the attention from you fades, as it inevitably does in long relationships? Will she be grounded enough to weather it, or will she drift toward the next glow? This isn't about judging. It's about preparing. It's about knowing what emotional debts she may be carrying and whether you're expected to pay them. That's the blessing of Stoicism: clarity without coldness, detachment without indifference. A man who practices the way of the modern Stoic doesn't chase validation, so he doesn't confuse it with others. He doesn't panic when he sees wounds. He just doesn't pretend they're not there. He knows that history often hides in behavior, not biography. So be still, be wise, and never forget. The way a woman handles attention tells you what her heart might still be healing from. It's not her fault, but it is your responsibility to see it clearly. That is the old Stoic's gift, to look without needing to ask, and to understand without needing to be told. 2. How she talks about other women. You want to know who she is? Not just now, but who she's been. Not the version she presents with a polished smile and practiced charm, but the one shaped by experience, heartbreak, rivalry, and triumph. You don't need to ask a single question to find out. You simply need to listen, specifically, to how she talks about other women. Stoicism teaches us to observe without reacting, to see the deeper truth beneath the surface, and this is one of those moments. When she mentions her female friends, co-workers, or even strangers, pay attention. Is there kindness in her tone, or is it laced with sarcasm, judgment, envy, or subtle disdain? If every woman she brings up is labelled fake, desperate, dramatic, or disloyal, that's not just her personality talking. That's her past. It's a projection. It's old pain, unresolved wounds from friendships turned sour, or betrayals she still carries like secret luggage. A woman who constantly criticizes others for being too flirty might have been cheated on. One who's skeptical of another woman's success may feel left behind in her own life. And when she says, "I just don't get along with other women," don't be fooled into thinking that's confidence or fierce independence. That's trauma disguised as detachment. In the Stoic life, we seek clarity, not chaos. We learn that people often express their inner world by reflecting it onto others. So when her world seems filled with enemies, understand she might still be living in a battlefield forged by her past. Your job isn't to fix her, or to challenge her stories. It's to recognize the pattern. Don't listen to the gossip, listen to the pain behind it. Listen to the emotional footprints left in her language. A woman at peace with herself will not be at war with every other woman. She'll support, not sabotage. She'll admire, not undermine. She'll feel secure without needing to compete. And that kind of peace is visible, unmistakable. In Stoic lessons, we learn not to speak too soon, not to judge too quickly, and never to assume we've seen the whole truth without careful observation. That is how you discover a woman's past, without digging, without pressing, without ever needing to ask. You simply remain calm, focused, and attentive. That's the essence of modern Stoicism. That's what makes you not just a man, but a wise one. If her words tear others down, her wounds are doing the talking. And if you see the power in that, drop a comment right now. I hear the pattern, not the gossip. Like this video, subscribe for more unshakable wisdom, and remember, you don't need to ask about her past. You just need to listen. 3. Conflict style, the truth in the fire. If you want to know a woman's past, truly know it. Stop asking questions. Start watching. Because people don't reveal their story with their words. They reveal it with their reactions, especially when things fall apart. As Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, said, "You learn more about a person in an hour of adversity than in a year of serenity." Don't be distracted by smiles, surface talk, or good days. The truth never hides in peace. It shows itself in friction. Watch what she does when plans unravel, when she feels misunderstood, when life doesn't go her way. That's the window into the past, and it opens wide under pressure. Does she withdraw in silence? Does she explode in blame? Does she weaponize guilt? Or does she breathe, stay calm, seek clarity, and respond with reason? Her response isn't random. It's a map, a blueprint, a reflection of every wound she's carried and every storm she's survived. And those reactions, those emotional reflexes, aren't about you. They're the residue of another time, another man, another betrayal. And now, you are standing in the echo. A woman who was neglected learns not to trust love. A woman who was betrayed learns to defend before she feels. A woman who is dismissed learns that silence is safer than speaking up. She may not even realize it, but her conflict style is a survival strategy, one that was carved from pain, not reason. And here's the truth: you don't need to interrogate her past. You just need to pay attention. When conflict comes, the past performs. People don't retell their wounds, they reenact them. This is where Stoic principles become your greatest weapon. Don't react emotionally. Don't take it personally. See with clarity. Listen without judgment. Respond without ego. The Stoic path, taught by warriors like Marcus Aurelius, is not one of control over others. It is control over self. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. Let that truth ground you. Let it sharpen your instincts. Don't try to fix her. That is not your role. You're not here to rescue her from her ghosts. You're here to observe, to understand, to decide. Is this someone evolving, or someone still fighting wars she never laid to rest? You must ask yourself, am I ready to be a source of peace in someone's chaos, or will I be consumed by it? Modern life is fast, loud, and full of illusions. Social media teaches men to judge by beauty, words, or surface charm. The modern Stoic must go deeper. In a world that rewards appearances, your strength will come from insight. Your power will come from perception. Be still. Be aware. Look through the moment. There's always a deeper reason behind every sharp word, every cold stare, every quiet retreat. Don't explain away toxic behavior. Don't ignore patterns. Don't get pulled into emotional drama disguised as love. Let others act from their history. You act from principle. Your strength is in not reacting. Your freedom is in choosing what to allow into your peace. Your mission is not to fix someone else's trauma. It is to master yourself in its presence. Let her past reveal itself without a single question. Let her actions speak. Let conflict be your clarity. That is the way of the wise. That is the power of the Stoic man. That is how you master relationships without losing yourself. Victory comes not by controlling others, but by commanding your response. Own your path, live by Stoic principles, and never forget. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Be calm in the storm. Be the man who watches, who understands, who chooses with purpose. 4. Her relationship timeline without asking directly. Don't ask. Don't corner her with a question that sounds like an interview. So, when was your last relationship? That's not curiosity. That's a red flag waving in the wind. Be smarter than that. Be the modern Stoic. Understand that what a woman says when asked directly is often rehearsed, smoothed over, stripped of sharp edges. You'll get the edited, for public consumption version, the clean documentary, not the gritty behind-the-scenes footage. If you really want to see the picture, her full timeline, the emotional texture of her past, you have to listen, not interrogate. Women speak volumes in the smallest phrases. Pay attention when she says something like, "I used to love that little jazz bar downtown. We went there all the time." Who's we? It's not her book club. That's a ghost from her past relationship, hovering, unnamed, but very much present. That we is a breadcrumb. Follow it. Be attentive to the way she refers to time, because that's where her truth slips through. When she says, "That was 2 years ago," offhandedly, she's giving you a precise timestamp without realizing it. That means she's done some emotional bookkeeping. She's counted the time. It's not a wound anymore. But if she avoids time altogether, if she dances around when things happen, if she skips from story to story with no chronology, you're not hearing gaps. You're hearing avoidance. That's your clue. That's the part of the painting she doesn't want to colour in. And when she says, "After everything fell apart," or "I had to start over," don't gloss past those lines. Those aren't just words. They're post-trauma poetry. Those phrases carry more weight than any date or label ever could. They suggest collapse. They suggest rebuilding. That's old Stoic energy right there. Fall, rise, repeat. Don't prod. Don't rush. You must let the silence speak. A woman relaxed in conversation tells more truth than one on the defense. That's the blessing of Stoicism. You don't need to chase clarity. You sit with the unknown, you trust the process, and more often than not, when a woman leaves entire chunks of her story untouched, no names, no places, no emotional highlights, those are the chapters that matter most. Her silence is a confession if you know how to hear it. Be the man who listens between the lines. Be the one who notices how her tone shifts when she says a name, how she hesitates just before a sentence, how she smiles at a memory but never quite explains it. Don't demand answers, earn them. Let her reveal them on her own terms, and she will, because nothing makes a woman speak more freely than a man who doesn't push. That's not passivity, that's power. The modern Stoic knows that insight doesn't come from interrogation, it comes from patience, presence, and poise. And finally, don't forget the woman in front of you is more than her past, but her past is part of the blueprint. If you ignore it completely, you're blind. But if you chase it like a detective, you're a fool. Observe. Let her stories unfold. Let her slips of speech paint the real picture. Her past is there, written between the lines, stitched into her stories, echoing in her silences. You don't need to ask. You just need to listen like a modern Stoic, calm, aware, and quietly 10 steps ahead. If you found this insightful, like the video, subscribe for more timeless wisdom and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Drop a comment to lock it in. I listen for what isn't said. That simple sentence reminds us real understanding comes not from interrogation, but from presence. 5. Her views on men in general, the silent truth you must learn to hear. A woman will tell you everything without ever saying it directly. You just have to know where to listen. Listen not to her words to you, but to her words about men. All men. That is the mirror. That is the window. When she speaks of her exes, her male co-workers, that guy on the news, or even a celebrity on TV, pay close attention. Is her tone light, observational, neutral, or is there a hidden edge, a sharpness, a cold undertone that lingers behind casual laughter because tone holds truth? Tone tells you where the scars are. Men are the worst may sound like a joke, but when that line repeats, when it echoes with resentment instead of humour, you're not hearing a joke, you're hearing history, and history never lies. This is not about judgment, this is about awareness. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, the soul becomes dyed with the colour of its thoughts. If her thoughts about men are laced with bitterness, disappointment, or distrust, then those thoughts colour how she will see you. No matter how well you treat her, no matter how strong your intentions, if her view of men is broken, you cannot fix it by being different. That damage was done before you arrived, and it may be waiting for you to trigger it without even knowing. She may smile, flirt, charm, and yet at the first sign of conflict, you find yourself punished not for your actions, but for someone else's betrayal. This is the unseen battlefield. This is a memory in motion. A Stoic man doesn't ignore it. A Stoic man observes it, quietly, without interference, without judgment, but with razor-sharp clarity. Stoic principles demand this kind of presence. Control only what is yours to control. Her tone, her patterns, her beliefs. These are signs. Study them, understand them, and above all, respect them. If she expects abandonment, she'll look for reasons to believe you'll leave. If she believes men lie, she'll dig for evidence of your deception, even if there is none. If she has not healed, then your kindness will not be seen as strength. It will be seen as a threat she cannot trust. So don't just fall into her charm. Don't just react to her affection. Watch what she projects. Ask yourself, is she treating me, or is she relieving him? Is this a relationship, or am I walking into the ghost of someone else's mistakes? Because if she hasn't laid down the weight of her past, she will hand it to you. And if you're not ready, that weight will crush your spirit. Marcus Aurelius teaches you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That's the core of the Stoic path. You must stay centered. Don't carry what isn't yours. Don't justify what you didn't cause. Don't argue with her past. Recognize it, then decide if you are prepared to be part of her future. That is what it means to be a modern Stoic. You are not here to rescue. You are here to see clearly, choose powerfully, move decisively. Let's be honest. Many men waste years hoping their love will erase someone else's damage. Don't. That's a losing game. A wise man doesn't ask, "What happened to you?" He observes and knows. You must study her reactions. Study her words. Study her patterns. Be still. Be calm. Be aware. That is how a Stoic discovers everything without asking anything. That is how a man wins. Not through control, but through mastery. Not through fixing, but through knowing. Walk with eyes open. Lead with strength. Never forget the past whispers. Only the trained ear can hear it. 6. How she talks about her family. The emotional blueprint hidden in plain sight. If you want to know how a woman loves, don't look at how she kisses. Don't look at how she laughs at your jokes. Look at how she talks about her family, especially her parents. That's where the script was written. That's where the emotional blueprint was drafted, edited, and installed like software. You're not Sherlock Holmes, and you don't need to interrogate her or pry open her past like some sealed file. All you need to do is listen. Closely, calmly, stoically, because the clues aren't buried. They're floating in her tone, in her choice of words, in the way her eyes shift when she mentions her dad. Does her voice get soft and nostalgic? Does it tighten with tension? Does she breeze past the subject with a quick, we weren't that close. Whatever, don't ignore that whatever. That little word may be doing Olympic-level emotional gymnastics. That is not apathy, that's armor. You see, Stoic life teaches us that people don't always say what they feel. They say what they've learned keeps them safe. If she learned that talking about pain only brings more pain, she'll avoid it with charm, with jokes, with indifference. But underneath, there may be years of unspoken stories shaping the way she connects, trusts, and loves. Stoicism invites you not to react, but to observe. That is your edge. The father relationship, in particular, is often the emotional tuning fork for how a woman engages with men. If she had to earn his attention, she may feel like she has to earn your love. If his love was hot one day and ice cold the next, don't be surprised if she braces for abandonment at the first sign you're off. That's not her doubting you. That's her brain replaying old code. She's not broken. She's running the system she was given. On the flip side, if her parents built a home with emotional honesty, consistency, and comfort, that often shows in how she handles stress and intimacy. She may not panic when things go quiet. She may not assume every silence is a goodbye. That kind of internal peace, that's gold. That's rare. And it doesn't come from nowhere. It's trained in childhood, through repetition, love, and security. Don't miss the subtle cues. How does she talk about family holidays? Is it joy or dread? When she mentions her mother, is it with connection or complaint? Does she roll her eyes when the topic of family time comes up, or does her whole body soften as memories roll in? These moments are access points, windows into her emotional operating system. And if you're paying attention, really paying attention, you'll see the whole architecture without asking a single invasive question. Let's be clear. You are not here to fix anything. Stoic lessons aren't about control. They're about clarity. You must see reality, not fantasy. A Stoic man doesn't rescue. He recognizes, he respects the emotional past, but refuses to be buried under its weight. You are not her father. You are not her family. You are you. And if you're wise, you'll learn the emotional dialect she was raised with before trying to write poetry in a language she doesn't speak. So, don't rush, don't assume, don't get swept away by charm and chemistry. Be present, be patient, be perceptive, because the way she talks about home, even in casual conversation, is often the most honest story she'll ever tell you. The past doesn't always knock. Sometimes it just whispers. And remember the words of Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of insight. Look within. Within is the fountain of good, and it will ever bubble up if you will ever dig. That is Stoic wisdom. That is the path. If you want to know how she'll love you, start by watching how she learned to love them. Then choose wisely and walk forward with the strength of a man who knows himself and sees the world clearly. And if you find today's content very interesting, please give me a word of encouragement by commenting "very interesting" in the comments section. That is a huge motivation for us. Thank you. 7. What moves her and what doesn't. Don't make the mistake of thinking emotions only come with tears. That's rookie thinking. Be sharper. Be the modern Stoic. Watch, don't interrogate. What rattles her cage or leaves it untouched tells you more than any dinner. Table confession ever will. Pay attention to the unexpected silences. A movie about abandonment hits the screen, and suddenly she stops laughing. Her posture changes. Her energy shifts. That wasn't just a scene. That was a trigger. Or that song she skips like it's cursed, not just bad taste in music. That's betrayal she doesn't want to relive. On the other hand, if the world's crumbling and she barely flinches, don't applaud her strength too fast. That cold composure might be numbness, not mastery. You're not just witnessing a personality quirk. You're seeing emotional residue from years lived, scars stitched into her behaviour. These aren't random quirks. They are emotional fingerprints, patterns drawn from wounds, defences, survival mechanisms. And here's the twist: what sets her off may have nothing to do with romance. She gets left off a group invite, watching the storm roll in. Someone raises their voice. Suddenly, she's gone quiet, distant. Why? Because this isn't new. This is familiar pain replaying itself. You must realise people don't overreact for no reason. That intense response, it's not just sensitivity. It's a memory screaming back to life. It says, "This happened before." It says, "I didn't forget." It says, "I'm still bleeding." That's not drama. That's history showing up, uninvited. But don't just look for storms. Sometimes the warning is calm. You pour your heart out about your rough childhood, and she shrugs like you said you stubbed your toe. Or you're watching someone cry in public, and she mocks it or walks right past like it's background noise. That's not maturity. That's detachment, and not the good kind. That's someone who built armor long before they had the tools to handle life. Old Stoic or not, don't confuse avoidance for wisdom. The blessing of Stoicism is not in dodging feelings. It's in facing it and staying still. So how do you learn all this without asking a single question? You observe. You become the modern Stoic, not cold but controlled, curious but quiet. Her reactions are a treasure map. The things that move her or leave her completely unmoved are emotional highlighters tracing back to the version of her you've never met, the one shaped by hurt, silence, survival. Don't demand answers. Let her show you, piece by emotional piece. That's how you tell the difference between a woman who has faced the fire and one who's still running from the smoke. Be present, be awake, and above all, don't look away when the mask slips. That moment, right there, is everything. 8. Final tip. Observation over interrogation. Don't grill her. Don't turn your curiosity into an inquisition. You're not holding court. You're living the Stoic life, which means your greatest weapon isn't your voice, it's your silence. The smartest men know this. They don't barrage a woman with questions about her past. They don't ask what broke her or who left her. They observe. They stay still and let the story unfold. One unguarded glance at a time. She won't realise she's telling it. That's the point. You must understand the difference interrogation pushes, observation reveals. One feels invasive, the other invisible, yet deeply aware. The polished answer she gives to "what happened in your last relationship?" That's rehearsed, curated, sanitized. but the way she subtly winces when you cancel dinner last minute. That's real. That flinch isn't about the plan. It's a memory returning, uninvited, or how she quietly drifts away when a conversation gets too intimate. That's not shyness. That's self-protection built over years. And that glow, that shift in her entire presence when you praise something beyond her appearance, her wisdom, her courage, her ideas. That's a girl who's been seen, maybe for the first time in a long time. These are not accidents. These are emotional fingerprints, tiny, raw, and profoundly telling. If you're living with Stoicism in your bones, you know the value of restraint. You know truth leaks out in between the words, not within them. The Stoic lessons are clear. The man who listens with his eyes sees far more than the man who talks with his mouth. Now, don't confuse this awareness with being cold. Being observant isn't about emotional distance. It's about emotional fluency. It's knowing how to read the room and how to read her, even when she doesn't know she's speaking. It's catching the quiet sigh when a certain topic comes up. It's noticeable when her tone goes flat or her gaze sharpens. It's not calculation. It's compassion paired with perception. That's Stoic life. Measured, watchful, grounded. Because here's the truth, most people tell the stories they need to believe in order to survive. But their behaviour, that doesn't lie. That's where you meet the real her. The woman beneath the curated self-image, beneath the social mask. She might be a woman still nursing old wounds. She might be ready to face them. Or maybe not. Either way, you'll know. And that kind of clarity isn't just helpful. It's powerful. Don't chase answers. That's noise. Invite them with your silence. Let her unfold. Let her show you. Not by what she says, but by what she does when she thinks no one's watching. Because behaviour always tells the truth, even when words pretend otherwise. You want to live like a modern man with backbone? Then be sharp, not suspicious. Be present, not pressing. You don't need to ask a thing. You only need to notice. And when you master that quiet clarity, you won't just understand women better. You'll understand yourself. That's Stoicism in action. That's strength without volume. So, the only question left is, are you tuned in enough to catch the story she's not telling? All right, fellas, that's it for today. Thanks for sticking around. If you've made it this far, you're not just casually watching, you're leveling up. Most guys miss what's right in front of them because they only listen to words. But now you're learning to observe what really matters. So here's my advice, trust what you see, not just what you hear. A woman's past is written in her patterns, her energy, her reactions, not her words. Pay attention. That clarity will save you years of frustration and keep you grounded in your power. If this gave you a new insight, let me know in the comments. What stood out most to you? I read them all. And if you're ready to go deeper into the mindset, the psychology, the real emotional game, hit that subscribe button. This is just the beginning. Take care. I'll see you soon.